Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here, and welcome back to another Mechwarrior Online video. We're going to be covering the Shadowhawk, the free mech for August/September. It is already available for you to start completing the event, and of course, we're going to be specifically talking about the Shadowhawk 2K. This is a 3 energy and 3 missile Shadowhawk, and we're going to be diving into some of the builds that potentially you can use out there on the battlefield that I've used, and then of course suggestions from my community members as well. So let's go ahead and dive in here. But again, you have plenty of time to do this, 27 days as of this video to accomplish this. And also note on the event page, when you click this, I would not redeem here. I would just redeem in game. The reason is when you redeem a game, you can just drop in a match or drop in training grounds, come out, and you're going to get the items instantly. Sometimes when you redeem on the website, it doesn't happen right away. It happens like at the top of the hour. So just keep that in mind when you do this. Redeem in game. It's a lot quicker. Also, the event rewards may be redeemed up to 2 weeks, 14 days after the event. So as of recording this, we have 27 days. You'll have an additional 2 weeks to redeem that. So just sort of keep that in mind. So let's go dive in and talk about the details here. I feel it's pertinent to talk about the event system. I just mentioned prior that don't redeem in the website, and some of you guys may not know, if you're new, how to do that in game. So down here in the bottom left, near the news feed, if you will, there's this little E looking button. We're going to click that. And after a little bit, you're going to go to active events. As you can see here, we have the Shadowhawk August free mech event. We're going to click that. And this is actually where I would say claim stuff. Again, it happens instantaneously. You just drop and you'll get them. But if you go through the website. So for those that didn't know, this is how you check out the event for an event. Now, this is a little bit different. If this was a loot bag event, loot bag, you have to go to the website, and we'll talk about that at a different time. But let's go ahead and talk about the Shadowhawk. This is actually a really fun mech. One of probably, I would say, let's go ahead and talk about the negatives here. One of the biggest factors I would say about the Shadowhawk is your visibility. You're going to be very, very confined in the cockpit. And if you're not used to that, well, it's a little bit of a shocker. So let's go take a quick look at that. As I mentioned previously, the Shadowhawk cockpit is very confined. Obviously, this is default field of view, and I actually don't play in this field of view, but you're super smashed up here. You can see you've got your PPCs. If you have other weapons systems as well, large pulse and stuff, they'll be here on your left. But that's all. This is all you have. Obviously, with this frontal view, you've got quite a bit open here. But if you're like me, I actually play with my field of view at 90. So let's go ahead and showcase what that looks like really quick. And again, gives you this sort of pulled back perspective. It doesn't have the best field of view. And that's really the biggest drawback, I would say, to the Shadowhawk, especially if you're coming in here as a new player. You don't have any peripheral vision. So just sort of keep that in mind. It even plays more important into watching your mini map, paying attention to where you are and where your friendlies are. So I just wanted to point that out, probably the biggest negative for this particular mech. So with all that being said, as far as the negative, let's talk about the positive and what you can do with this mech. The Shadowhawk has been around for the longest time, and this actually chassis has gone through a shift as far as meta, going back in the days from a AC-20 and 2 medium lasers to the current meta that you see. And of course, with the 2K, has gone from ER large, triple ER large to triple PEEP builds, and now pretty much everything's viable on it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those. Again, it's got a pretty narrow profile from the front and side. For this particular variant, you're not concerned with the arms at all. It doesn't matter. You can strip them. You can leave them armored sometimes just for shields. They are quite big. They do take damage. But the nice thing, again, you have very high mounts. Everything you can see, you can pretty much shoot. You have jump jet capability as well, which is advantageous. So we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the builds that you may see out on the battlefield and ones that you may also enjoy. So let's hop in the mech lab. All right, first up, we're going to be talking about the triple large pulse setup. And I mentioned earlier the triple ER large, and you'll still see that out there. Things have shifted, obviously, recently with some of the Cauldron's changes to weapon balance with Piranha Games, and you're seeing large pulses out there. This was already good before, but it's just basically made it a little bit more mainstream. You've got high mounts here on the left torso, pinpoint accuracy. This particular build uses a light 270 as well, allowing you to lose and shield with the right torso and still pack a punch. Now, what are the drawbacks to this setup? Well, mainly there's two. Range, and if you lose your left torso, you are out of weapons. So just sort of keep that in mind. You do have 2 jump jets on this and some double heat sinks, but this particular one can also be done in a XL engine. I know that may be scary to some out there, but I actually run XLs on a large majority of other Shadowhawks, AC-10, SRM-4, and combos like that. And some of these that I'm going to suggest to you actually have XLs as well. So this is one of those where you can flip. If you do go an XL, you can go upwards of around a 300, and that will allow you to drop some of those heat sinks into the engine as well. So just sort of keep that in mind. Shadowhawk, in my opinion, is very XL friendly because what does it do? It adds speed, and speed is survivability. It does have a narrow profile, and if you're always moving around and engaging how you should, well, that XL isn't as much of an issue. But just keep in mind that this particular build with triple large pulse does run a light fusion engine at a 272 jump jets. You can see here again, we talked about the armor on the arms. That's where you're going to come with your weight savings. We're not going to take it from the legs. Again, a pretty big, tall legs here. I know a lot of people, including myself, will go for the legs on a Shadowhawk just because we know those are the most vulnerable parts. And especially if this thing is moving quick. With 79.5 kph, it's not necessarily the fastest thing out there, but it's not going to be the slowest. And as far as skills, you can focus on laser duration and heat gen. And in my opinion, instead of going full armor and survivability, I would probably do half that and then go operations, just for the focus of it's all about the damage here. And just sort of keep in mind that, again, your optimal is around 450. So when I mentioned earlier, the main vulnerability to this build is going to be range. If you're trading with ER large, ER peeps, Goss, you're going to be losing that. So this needs to be a little bit closer. So that's the first build up to check out, is the Shadowhawk 2K triple large pulse. Let's go to the next one. All right, next up on the list is a build that I don't necessarily use, and this was suggested to me, but I can see the merit, and it's actually the dual MRM 30s. This has plenty of ammo sitting out here at 4.5 tons with 2 jump jets, a light 255, 4 jump jets, I should say. And you can see here armor, you actually have a little bit more in the arms just because of the setup. Now, why don't I run this and why you may run this? Well, the first thing you're going to pop in mind if you're an experienced player is there are other 55-ton mechs like the Wolverine and even 50-ton mechs like the Trebuchet 7M that are just better than this, right? You also have the Griffin as well with the ECM and so forth and so on. So why would you be interested in this? Well, it's a free mech, and if you don't have those others, or if you just want to try an MRM 60 build, this is definitely capable of it. Again, what's unique about this, the pros and the cons. The cons are you lose your right torso, you have no weapons. The pros are it's an MRM 60, it's got high mounts here right next to the cockpit. If you can see it, you can hit it, and it's very mobile with the 4 jump jets as well. Top speed of 75.1 kph, and it sort of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is you have to have that trade-off. The nice thing with this is you can shield with your left side and punch with your right, which, if you guys know anything about how the gameplay is with sometimes NASCAR is generally to the right. And so this build is sort of kudos for that. So that's your MRM 60. I don't run it necessarily because there are other chassis that can do it better. But let's just say you don't have those chassis. This is a perfect way to get that MRM 60 action. As far as skills, I would definitely focus on the missile skills, heat gen, cooldown, and then go survivability. MRMs wreck at closer range. Operations, I don't think would benefit you as much. Just keep in mind, I would probably have a weapon group where you can alpha, and then the second one that you can chain fire that way. If you are riding that line, it gives you a little bit of flexibility. So that is that. So this is pretty much, like I said, a suggested build. I have seen it out there, but I don't see it as much because there are other chassis along that. So again, this is a 2K with MRM 60, and we'll go ahead and dive into the next setup. Okay, next up, we have a light PPC with a combo of SRM-4. Now, this is the first one we're covering where you actually have dual weapon systems on the left-right torso. And this is where, in my opinion, this particular variant shines, is the ability to bring energy and missile. With the bonus that the light PPCs no longer have minimum range, you're not restricted to be able to fire point blank with those SRMs. Now, what does this do? One, you have the light PPCs, very fast firing. They do a little bit more damage now than the medium laser, 5.5. And of course, SRM-4s have good spread and good as far as DPS. So you have that combination It's got a LFE 280. Again, the survivability factor, you're seeing a lot of these setups taking an LFE. That way, if you lose the side torso, you can still go. In this particular instance, what's really nice with it is if you do lose a side torso, you're still able to engage because you have another set of weapon systems. As you can see here, we have 4 tons of ammo, and with 3 SRM4s, it's good. You always want at least 1 ton. Some people 1.5 tons. I think this will be a good blend. Again, you're not always going to be in the range of SRM, so again, you can let fly with those light PPCs. And with the light PPCs, you do have some really nice range. 540 stock with the skills, an extra 70. That brings you up to 610 meters of optimal with your light PPCs. So even though it's not a lot of damage, again, when you're firing 3 of them, I mean, you're getting, what, 16.5 damage out there every single time, every X amount of seconds, right? 2 point, something seconds. Again, this is a really fun setup. And with this, you're going 82.5 kph. So the strengths here are DPS, right? The strengths are you do have range with half your weapon systems. The strengths also is that you can lose half your weapon systems and still fight. I would still say the range is going to be a factor if you are engaging something with Gauss or ER large and ER peep. I probably wouldn't trade with that. You're going to lose, but this does give you the flexibility to engage at range. And also with the light PPCs, as I mentioned, you don't have any minimum range, so you can go ahead and move up and get that DPS on target against lights or other targets as well. As far as skills, this is going to be an interesting one. You don't really have to focus on anything for the light peeps, because whatever you pick up for the SRMs as far as cooldown is going and heat gen is going to affect the light peeps. I would probably go with a focus on missile spread, cooldown, heat gen, focus on that survivability tree, and then I wouldn't really worry about operations as much. You have 4 extra double heat sinks. One of them, of course, is in the engine here, and then just fill out where you see fit. But again, survivability is going to be a big one. You are going to be in brawl range using those SRM4s. As you can see here, armor is a little bit different. You don't have as much in the arms, and there's a little bit off the legs and cockpit as well. But just sort of keep that in mind to utilize that range, both medium and then getting close range. But this is really going to shine more of the skirmish, especially with that speed. So anyways, that's another 2K with 3 light PPCs and 3 SRM4. Let's go ahead and dive into the next one. All right, next up on the list is something I've used, and it is 3 snubs with 3 SRM2s. This is a play on what you just saw, and albeit a little bit different. Since the buff to snubs, which feel really good right now, and you're able to fire 3 of them without ghost heat, 8.5 damage each, and the optimal 270 plus the skills here, bringing it up to around 305 optimal, right? So again, this is a close range brawling setup. You can see I do have an XL 280 on this, and with an additional 3 heat sinks, 2 jump jets, and 2 tons of ammo for those 3 SRM2s. Now this is a little bit different because again, this is a focus on close range. You will not be engaging. The con would be you could be ranged very quickly. The other con is survivability here. You are running an XL, and that being said, you are vulnerable, but 82.5 kph, you are still decently fast. Use your speed and maneuverability. All high mounts, of course, and snubs feel in a really good place. The DPS on these SRM2s can sort of surprise people as well. You can pretty much hold that button down when you're engaging. A little bit of heat, 1.25. It's not the best, but that's mainly just in conjunction, it shows with jump jets. So I think you'll be just fine. Again, split up your weapon groups. I would probably do an alpha with this, chain fire, and then an alpha with the SRM2s. You could literally have 3 weapon groups and you'll be good to go. As far as skills, again, SRM2s, I wouldn't even really worry about any details on them. I wouldn't worry. If anything, you might want to go missile capacity, get some extra ammo, but other than that, you don't need spread. I think it's mainly just DPS and getting DPS on target. So again, cooldown, heat as well. As far as the weapon tree, survivability is going to be a must. I don't think you need operations, but if you want to go operations, you can as well, but that's really up to you. So that's it for this particular build. Again, it's sort of a play on the last one with the with the light PPCs. This one again trades for a little bit heavier hitting, a little bit shorter range, and the DPS of the SRM2s as backup. So I've used this, it's quite fun. And let's go dive into the next Shadowhawk. All right, up next we have 3 medium pulse with 3 SRM4s. Now I've used this actually quite extensively on my stream, which by the way, I do stream Monday through Friday, 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't headed over here already, make sure to do so. Drop a follow. We have a great time. You can ask questions and I can answer them live. And if I don't know, we have someone in chat who can. And so if you haven't done that, make sure to do that. I'll have a link down below. And again, that's twitch.tv/NGNGTV. All right. This particular build is quite fun. It's fast, 100.1 kph. I do have an XL340. And this is, in my opinion, again, where the Shadowhawk sort of shines when it has speed, and speed is survivability. It doesn't seem like a lot of damage, but the SRM4s, and they're better spread than the 6s. You've got the medium pulse, the DPS with the DPS of the SRM4s. We've got 2 jump jets, 4 tons of ammo, and 5 extra double heat sinks. Armor's pretty much full everywhere except for the arms. And again, I've used this quite extensively. It's really fun. It's a very good skirmisher getting there. You have the sustainability, and that's another big factor. What are the cons to this? You have no range whatsoever. You know, the XL engine can be a vulnerability, but I say that with the other side of it, which is I think it's also a bonus because you can get in there and get out of dodge if you do run into something. So best thing with this sort of setup, again, is the DPS and the ability to maneuver around your enemies and re-engage and drop and so forth and so on. So I've used this quite extensively. It's really fun. As far as skill tree, if you want to focus on the heat gen cooldown and, you know, SRM4s, they're good spread, but you can work on the spread too as far as those 2 nodes. I don't think it'd be a bad thing. Survivability. It's got better heat management than the others as far as the snubs and lights. So I don't think you need operations here. You can invest in other stuff, but this is a really fun one. Again, all high mounts, so if you see it, you can shoot it. And yeah, let's go dive into the next setup. All right, now we just talked about 3 medium pulse and SRM4s. This is another setup that has a little bit more punch, about I think 13 more firepower. It has SRM6s with Artemis, it has a light 270, it has 4 jump jets, and as you can see here, it only has 2.5 tons of ammo. My thoughts on this are, this is going for the punch rather than the sustainability. It's also slower, 79.5 kph. It's got maxed out slots, so you literally can't fit any more, and it has 1 double heat sink. So this is a setup I have not used. It is a community suggested build. Some of the things, again, I notice is it's going to hit harder. SRM6s with Artemis, so you definitely are going to want to invest in, as far as the skill tree. Cooldown and heat gen are going to be a must, and survivability. But for the weapon skills, focus on that spread, focus on the basically all the missile skills, just do all of them. And the medium pulse are going to benefit as well. You can pick up laser duration if you want. That's never a bad thing. And also keep in mind, if you're strictly going energy, laser duration is actually better than cooldown. So if you have to choose 4 laser duration versus 4 cooldown, go for the laser duration. It's going to help you out percentage wise. This is a okay setup in my opinion. Like I said, I think there's some drawbacks if you've never used the Shadowhawk, which is survivability. You can lose the left torso. That's really nice, but because you're going 79 kph, you are a target. And again, you're going to be going what some of the heavies do as well. But high mounts, I think it's a setup that you guys can give it a try and see what you guys think. But I haven't used this one. Yeah, I hope you guys check those out. So for honorable mention, we're going to talk about the other setups. You've got 2 setups that aren't on here, and that is the 3 ER large. I don't have that on here. You will and possibly see it. It's just fallen out of favor. 3 ER larges, and then also 3 PPC. You may see that around. I think it's being outshined by the large pulse setup right now. The 3 PPC setup is and has been a meta setup in the past. So that's something that you can also try. The cool thing is, if you try the large pulse laser setup, you can pretty much do the PPC setup as well, tonnage wise. It's the exact same tonnage, right? So give that a go if you haven't done so already. But that is the free mech for August/September. We're midway through August, and this has just been released. So What are my thoughts overall about the Shadowhawk? I really like the Shadowhawk. I like the Shadowhawk in that fast brawl, fast skirmisher sort of role. It does a really good job with it. With that being, most of my setups have XLs, but this particular one has a wide range. So you've got your medium to close range, energy only. You have missile only with the MRMs. Do I suggest LRMs on this? No, I do not. LRMs have been in a sort of a weird place. One, Shadowhawk doesn't have a ton of weight. IS-LRMs are significantly heavy versus their clan alternative. And I think you're just better off with using short range and medium range missiles with this in conjunction. You could do some MRM combinations, but generally you're better just going like all or nothing. But overall, it's a great mech. I think it's a good mech for new players too. So if you're coming in and you would like a free mech, all you got to do is go down and check out the event system, as we said earlier. Keep in mind, for this mech, you do not have to do all of this. This is 1 out of 9. The only one you have to do is here, right here. 10 wins, 50 kill assists, 50 protected proximity, accumulated match score of 8,000, earn 25 kills or KMDDs. This is in 27 days as of right now. You have the chance to get the Shadowhawk. Now, if you do the others, that's awesome. You're going to get MC reward here, a ton of MC reward, I should say. And you're going to, if you want to do the last ones for a camo pattern. So you do not have to do all these. But again, just to sort of reiterate, claim them here. Do not claim them on the website because it does take a little bit longer via the website. So anyways, that is it for the mech review for the free mech, the Shadowhawk 2K. If you found any of this interesting or informative, click that follow button. Let me know what your favorite setups are in the 2K in the comments down below. Did any of these find their way to your mech bay, or did you try any of them out? Have you used this mech in the past? Any of that information, just let me know. Leave a comment down below and I will look over them. Just want to say thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. Until next time.